Welcome to this edition of the Stroke of Genius. We've got a great lineup for you today, but we also have a great lineup coming up for next week. I'm just so excited to have different people on to be able to talk about, what we're going through from a disability perspective. So, we all need to understand that we're not alone in this. So, making sure that other people know that we're here to help them. It's been great, and to have somebody like our next guest coming on to talk about her disabilities and her caregivers and what that's meant has just been incredibly humbling to allow for them to allow me to ask them questions about all that. So if you're listening today, please put in a hashtag live for that. If you're listening on replay, put in a hashtag replay. If you are, and let me know where you're coming in from, where you're located. That would be great if you could do that. And as always, just keep informing us of things that are going on in your world. And if you have any questions, by all means, ask us. And without any further ado, I want to bring on our guest today, and that is Rosemarie Rossetti. Hello, Rosemarie.
Hey, Brian.
How are you?
Oh, I'm great. The sun is shining finally, and it's going to be a warm day. We're thrilled.
Yeah, warm for Ohio in December. So that's still in the 50s, but not bad.
No, we'll take it.
Yeah. So tell me, what are you planning to do this weekend with and today with the nice weather? Well, actually, not nice weather this weekend, but it'll be nice today.
Well, today with the 50-degree temperature and sunshine, my husband and I are going for a bicycle ride in a nearby park. I have a spinal cord injury. I have some paralysis from the waist down, but I still have muscle power in my legs. I have a 3-wheeled recumbent bicycle that we've had for a couple of decades, ever since my accident. So we take the bikes, put them on our trailer, connect it to our car, and we'll go to a neighborhood park for a beautiful bike ride on a trail.
That sounds awesome. So, we've got some great people on the line with us today. You just saw one of them, Randall Reeder, coming in from Ohio as well. But Randall is one of those guys that just gives so much of his time and his efforts to helping us all, to be able to be successful in what we do. And the activities that he helps us with has been phenomenal. So now I'm sure you would agree with that as well.
Well, Randall's been a big part of my life. Even before I joined the National Speakers Association, we were both on the faculty at the Ohio State University when we met. He introduced me to the National Speakers Association, and he was very instrumental in my recovery from my spinal cord injury, coming to my bedside at the hospital constantly to check up on me and to share information with other professional speakers so they know what my progress was. Great friend, Randall. You've always been there for me.
He is a great guy. I'm a part of Toastmasters here in Hilliard, and he's one of the founding charter members of the chapter. So he is around quite a bit and has helped so many people with their speech. And it's not just their speech, but also it's just being a real human, a real friend to people. So I'm just so glad that he is. He did not that he allowed me into his circle, but I mean he's one of those people that God put in place to be a part of my life, and to have somebody like him to be there has been incredible.
I support that. Thank you, Randall, for your friendship.
Yeah, thanks, Randall. Now, tell me a little bit about what you're doing this weekend. And I know you talked a little bit already offline about some exercise equipment that you have coming in. So tell me a little bit about the exercise equipment and what you're planning to do with it.
Well, it was just installed this morning. I haven't even gotten to use it. We bought some commercial grade pre-owned exercise equipment since we haven't been to our gym with the YMCA since the pandemic. And now that it's too cold to kayak and probably going to be too cold pretty soon to bike, we're taking our exercise program indoors for a home gym. So we invested heavily in some equipment. We have a recumbent bicycle now in our new home gym, and we have an upper body exercise piece of equipment that you use with your arms, and it's a rotating piece of equipment. Our third piece is on its way. They're still trying to get it in the elevator, and it's a cross cable system. So we'll have those three. I've always had hand weights and mats to do different activities. So we're just going to move everything into our new home gym in the lower level of our home. So that'll be our activity this weekend. I'm sure I'll be sore come Sunday night.
Yeah, so this is going to be quite a workout if you've not been too active. But you've been active in the past few weeks. I see a lot of you on Facebook where you're getting out and you're going to different locations all across the state, and getting that good exercise in. So it should be just a continuation of that, right? Or you think it's going to be a little more?
Oh, it's much more. If that cross cable equipment works and that upper body equipment, I watch the videos and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is really serious cardio work. It's much more than taking my kayak for a leisurely paddle on a river, and much different if I intensify my workouts. So I'll have so much more to look at on the screens to know the calories and to know how many minutes, to know the RPMs. So I'll have some measurements and also a training system that's on screen that might help encourage me to keep going.
Wow. So tell our listeners a little bit. Obviously, you had a spinal cord injury back in the 90s, and everything changed. But how do you adapt to those certain workouts? How have you been able to utilize them and those machines, even though you're I know I'm not supposed to say this, but you're confined to a wheelchair. But you don't say that.
No, I use a wheelchair for mobility. Randall Reeder was the one that told me to consider it as my work vehicle. He said, it's like your truck, Rosemarie, it's your work vehicle. So it was a wonderful comparison, Randall. I've always thought that way. I just refer to this wheelchair as my work vehicle. And exercise was important. Recreation was important. Prior to my injury in June of '98, I had a sport for all seasons. My husband and I depended upon our recreational events. We skied, we biked, we had inline skates, rollerblades, we played tennis, we played racquetball, everything we could possibly do when we were first married, and we were married 3 years. They were a part of our lives. And then suddenly it's not available to me anymore. And part of the rehabilitation was adaptive recreation. There was a therapist that I worked with, a recreational therapist, when I was at Dodd Hall, that introduced me to the adaptive biking and the adaptive kayaking. And little by little, I started understanding if I bought the right equipment, like the 3-wheeled recumbent bike, that I could bike again. And if I bought a kayak that was a tandem where I sit in the front and he's in the back, I would feel safe kayaking on rivers and streams and ponds and lakes. We had a membership at the gym at the time of my injury, and I continued that membership. We brought in a personal trainer and a physical therapist with my doctor's permission to go back to the gym as soon as possible. And at that point, then we were trying out all the equipment to see, could I transfer onto the equipment? What were the settings on the seat? How much weight is possible? What piece of equipment is not appropriate? And so we continued with that immediately as soon as the doctor released me to go back to the gym.
Now, hearing all that, I mean, it sounds expensive, but now we're getting a little echo for some reason. It sounds expensive, but it sounds like it's allowed you to be able to continue on with your life, right?
Well, what do you want to do? You want to spend money on repairing things that are not healthy
Right.
and limiting your lifespan? Do you want to restrict your cardio and your heart is now weak and your lungs don't work? Do you want to gain a lot of weight and now go into diabetes? I mean, it's an investment in my health and in my recreation. It's part of my life balance. And that was something missing in that wheel of life. When you look at the segments of your life, there were a lot of things that were off balance, and one of them was fun and recreation,
Hmm.
and also the ability to recover. If I was going to recover, I had to strengthen the muscles that I could. Some of them are still paralyzed, but I wanted to make sure that I could strengthen what I could to continue my independence.
Hmm. What do you think that the people that are on the line here that are listening, what and they're probably all neurotypical. They have all their all use of their motor skills and everything. So, what can they learn from you? And I know there's a lot when it comes to being fit, exercising, and doing what you've been able to do.
It's a matter of putting it into your life and making it a habit. I know we get busy. I'm self employed and I could just stay in my office any 12 hours a day, every 7 days a week and work. That's not important. What's important is my health. That comes first.
Hmm.
And therefore, I've got to change my habits and say, all right, it's important for me to walk around the house every day with my four-wheeled walker, then I need to remind myself that's the first thing I do in the morning.
Mm.
If I need to do some stretching exercises, that's the first thing I do in the morning, rather than turning on the computer and starting the mania of looking at emails and looking at my to-do list. What's my to-do list? Number one is to take care of my health. And if that means going out on a bike ride in the middle of the afternoon, I stop working and go out in the middle of the afternoon every day when the weather's good and ride in my neighborhood. That is my mantra every day, to do something towards my health and wellness. So you got to change your habits and think about, if you can get out, then get out. Now, not everyone's self employed. I understand that. So
Yeah.
look at some other habits and what you can do after work hours. So after dinner, what could you be doing, even at your home, investing in some hand weights, and go on YouTube and look at all the different exercises out there and follow along. There's trainers everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to do a better job of that myself. But I know there's a lot of people on the line here that are thinking, well, that's all well and good. I mean, you're doing that, but I've got an 8 to 5 job. So, what do you tell people like that in terms of making your exercise first? How do you make your exercise first if you have commitments like that?
Well, now that you're staying home, it's so much easier. All you got
Mm.
to do is fit it into your night routine. If you're coming home and get home at 5:30 or 6 o'clock and having dinner, you've got the rest of the night to sneak in 20 or 30 minutes of something. And it could be something as simple as a mat on the floor to do some stretching with some hand weights or some stretchy bands, or just putting on a program on your television and following along with a Pilates class or a low impact class. You don't have to go anywhere. It's not going to take a lot to do that.
Yeah, modern technology has allowed us to and taken away a lot of excuses.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was always hard, especially when it was cold out, to go to the gym in the middle of winter and
Mhm.
to, finish with the dishes and then go in the van and dress up and go to the van for an hour, to the gym for an hour, and then come home. I always felt good coming home, but boy, that motivation factor was really hard. Um, Fortunately, Mark was my motivation factor and I was his motivation factor. So we'd look at each other after dinner and go, "Do you think we're going to go to the Y tonight?" And he'd go, "Yeah, we better go." Uh,
Well, so that's an interesting thing you brought up there. In regards to your caregivers, how do you how do you help people? How can we help people that are on the line with what they're going through today, and maybe they're in a state of their disability, they're disabled, or maybe they're caring for someone that is just disabled. How do you get them to understand the importance of getting up and taking action? Really without the knowledge of, okay, if I do this action, then I'm gonna feel better. Convince me that I'm gonna feel better.
Well, if you have a pain and you want to get rid of the pain, you'll be highly motivated to get rid of that pain. On
Mm-hmm.
the other hand, if you have no pain, the motivation is not as strong. So, what I feel is when something's going wrong with my body, the pain is there. I have bursitis in my right hip. And as I talk to the doctors and physical therapists about why I have it now during the pandemic, I think the relationship is not swimming at the YMCA. And
Huh.
so, therefore, was I more motivated to do what I had to do to start physical therapy again and to get an injection in the hip to see if we can get the pain to go away and to change my medications and change my diet so that I could see if I could get more electrolytes in my body so that my legs aren't spasming during the night, giving me pain. That wasn't happening when I was at the YMCA and swimming. So I've got some conditions in my body that weren't there when I was exercising at the YMCA on a 3 or 4 day a week program.
Hmm.
So getting rid of pain is a huge motivator for me.
Yeah, yeah. Like I was telling you earlier, I've got a lot of pain in my feet right now. So even though I stand up to do these calls, it gets a little rough at times to stand on my feet, and the balls of my feet are experiencing discomfort. So if I could get to a point where that pain goes away, and I think I need to embrace a little bit of acute pain in order to get to the point where I'm getting rid of that chronic pain. I think that's what you're saying, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Well, and getting the medical advice that's necessary,
Mhm.
getting the referral from the doctor that's treating you for that pain. If physical therapy is a part of that, then you've got to go for it all the way. Every time it's on the clock, on the calendar, show up and do what's necessary. And then they give you things to do at home. Show up and do it. They'll tell you how many reps, they'll tell you how many times a day. You have to remember it's a new routine, and it was hard for me to get into that routine, to have physical therapy. It was a huge disruption of my day to drive over there, have an hour of therapy and drive home, and then do exercises twice a day to support the therapy for my bursitis. But
Hmm.
it worked.
So I'm gonna ask. It's milling around in my head. How do you adapt? How do you adapt yourself to swimming? How does that work?
I took lessons. I wasn't really experienced as a paraplegic swimmer. And
Yeah.
so some people were seeing me try to swim in the pool and looking at me going, I think you could benefit by having an instructor, because I
Uh,
wasn't doing it very well. I was just holding my breath, going underwater and using my arms and swimming underwater. That was the extent of it. And so a person saw me on the sideline and said, I think there's a good swimming instructor that I'd like to recommend to you. Why don't you ask her if you can hire her to teach you how to swim? The best decision in my life
huh.
regarding a new thing to do in the pool. She was awesome watching me struggle and then showing me what I was doing wrong. I can do 5 different strokes and I can swim for a half hour without stopping.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Hmm. That's incredible. I can't do that.
Well, with an instructor, you can. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of technique and encouragement.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and of course, the more I did it, the first time I did it, I was probably doing 3 or 4 strokes and then gasping for air.
Yeah.
The freestyle, I never knew how to do freestyle swimming. It's
Hmm.
like, this is hard. There's so much to think about. And swallowing water. It's like, okay, just go with the flow and keep going every lesson and getting better and getting encouraged and practicing.
So I think there's a lesson there for all the listeners that are on this. I mean, it doesn't matter if you have disabilities or not. Understanding that you have to swallow some water every once in a while. You have to, go through a hard part and understand that, it's not always easy right away. It might take a couple weeks. It might take a couple months before you really start to see improvement. That's important for us all to know.
Yeah, we start out consciously incompetent.
Mm.
And at
Yeah.
that point, you don't know what you need to know. And there's so many things to learn in terms of positioning your body and breathing and arm placement, leg placement, kicking. And so I'm like, okay, all this at once. So you try one thing at a time, and pretty soon you'd put those things together. And then you started being conscious, but still not that great. The intent is to be totally competent and to be unconscious about it. It's just like when I'm driving my van. When I first had to learn how to drive it with hand controls, my gosh, there was so much to learn to not use my feet anymore. But now I don't even think about it as I get into the driver's seat and turn on the ignition, hold on to the spinner knob on my steering wheel, and hold on to the other handle that controls the accelerator and brake. I mean, it's just a process of training and repetition and getting it right.
So you can do that. We're switching gears here, but you can do that driving without any concern at all. I mean, you drive at night?
Yes.
Really? Wow. That's incredible to see that you can do that, and you've overcome the fear and the mental anguish that sometimes goes along with getting behind the wheel. I know that because I have that mental anguish. I can speak for a fact. It's a concern of mine because I don't want to hurt any other people. But you've gotten to a point where you've been able to do that successfully, and I'm amazed. So that's great.
It's a process. I was not driving for a year after my injury. I was not able to. I had a neck brace and a body brace, and it took a long time. So a year after the injury, I was able to purchase a van and have it modified so that the ramp came out the side. The whole ramp lowered. I had the hand controls and the spinner seat put on. I had to have driver's training. I had to go for my driver's license again. I felt like I was 16 years old going through the whole process of learning how to drive, now with hand controls, now with a van, having to parallel park a van. It was like, oh my gosh, this is hard. My feet wanted to continue to drive with the pedals on the floor, but I had to put my feet under the seat and just mentally say, stay there. Don't you touch the accelerator or brake. It's all hand controls. The first day that I bought my van and picked it up, I was by myself and I told my husband, I got to do this on my own. I've been trained, but now I got a brand new van that's just been delivered. I now have the keys and I have to drive it home from the dealership. I don't want anyone else in the van with me because I'm not that great yet driving a van. I've never driven a van, let alone a van with hand controls. So I told him, I don't know when I'll be home. I've got lots of money with me and credit cards. I'm just going to drive. I don't know where I'm going, but I'll be gone for a while. Don't worry about me. I'll call you later.
So where did you go?
I just took off from the dealership on the street that was attached and just went east. And I just kept going. And then I thought, well, this doesn't make any sense, just driving east. So I realized my mother and brother lived east. So I decided to drive to my mother and brother's and show them the new van.
Huh. And what did they say when they saw you pull in with this van?
Oh, they were delighted. They were really delighted knowing how that was a part of taking back of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a fun experience to, go up to their place and say, look, I got the van. Look, I'm
How about
driving again.
Yeah, so I want to make sure I put up that banner. So take back your life, or no? What is the URL?
Take Back Your Life is the name of the book.
Yeah.
They can get it at Amazon as a book. So here you go.
Oh, okay. Okay. And you have got that. So take back or no, I can't spell. I can't type. I can spell. I can't type. Your life. Got it. All right.
Now,
Thank
I
you.
went on Amazon yesterday. There are a lot of books entitled Take Back Your Life. So
Oh.
please put Take Back Your Life, Rosemarie Rossetti. Otherwise, you're going to go,
Ah,
oh, there's a lot of books with that title because you can't
okay.
copyright a title.
Right. Right. So Rose Marie Rossetti. And I'll show it here.
Thank you, Brian.
Is that it? Did I spell your name right?
Not sure where I should be looking.
Oh, can you look on the screen where we are, where our pictures are?
I just see you and I don't see what you've typed in there. So
Huh. They've got a banner up on the bottom that says "Take Back Your Life."
yes, now I see it. Yes.
Oh, you can see it?
Yes, it's there.
Okay.
It's so pretty. I didn't know it was going to come out that pretty. Yes, Take Back
Well,
Your Life.
yeah.
There it
So that's
is.
good.
Yeah, it replaced our names. Thank you. I
Yeah.
didn't see it come up.
Right. So yeah, I just did that. Just a click
It's
of a
there.
button once I had it typed in. So
Yeah, that was a fun book to write. It's a series of 20 different articles, the 2 years of my recovery, sharing the 5 lessons that I learned. It starts on the bike trail where I had the accident and ends on the bike trail on the 2nd anniversary of the injury, where I was there with my new recumbent bicycle.
yeah, that story is absolutely amazing, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad you came on today. But I'm also happy that you were nice enough. And again, I'm not sure why you were so kind to me, but this is the kind of person you are. To give me the copy of the book, and I've gone through the book, and I think I'm on chapter 12 right now. I'm a slow reader, but getting through the book and looking at what you've gone through and how you've experienced different things like the horseback riding and the shoes. I'm so impressed with how you still like to have nice shoes, regardless of how often you use them. How you use them, I would say, is better said. So yeah, you're a godsend. I appreciate you coming on today and sharing everything with me. So thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure, Brian. Thank you. Not only do you benefit, but for me to be of use to other people, to be helpful, to be encouraging, to be motivating. I mean, that's what I'm all about, is helping to be a motivator, as a motivational speaker and author. That's what I do. When people say, how do you measure success? I measure success by the impact that I have to significantly improve the lives of other people.
Yeah. Well, you've definitely improved my life. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And thank you for everyone joining today. I'm going to send you to the green room, Rosemarie, and I'll see you in a little bit. But I'm going to send everybody off here. But thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
You too. Bye. All right. Well, yes. So a lot going on. Oh my gosh. What a great interview with Rosemarie Rossetti. She's phenomenal. What a great friend. So I'm just so glad to have her in my corner, because I mean, having a friend like that in your corner is means everything. So We've got a great show coming up next week on the Stroke of Genius with Tom Shelton. Tom has a daughter who's 29. Her name's Colleen, and Colleen has autism, and she's not nonverbal, but she has maybe a couple hundred words that she talks about or that she uses. So limited vocabulary, but I'm just so excited to have him on next Friday, and I'm hopefully you'll be able to join us as well at 11:30 for Stroke of Genius. And now remember, we've got great shows coming up with Vision Alignment all week next week, with the exception of Wednesday. Wednesday is Doctor Day, so look for that. Look for more information for all these coming up. But just as always, remember to keep one eye on the road.